Hello to everyone who I've not met yet. My name is Gregory Cowling, and I'm going to be presenting Praxis Typography. It's a letterpress business based in Berlin, and 3 days ago was the third birthday of the project. From a technical perspective, I work with handset composition and hand inking. The content of the projects I undertake focus on typographic designs led by social and environmental justice. And the context of Praxis Typography is an investigation into how problems of inequality and climate collapse can be solved through business practices, as well as through visual communications. This is the first poster I printed after my apprenticeship with Alan Kitching at the typography workshop in London. It was like a lot of freedom doing this, sort of running around Peanut EA, seeing what I could find. One of the key things I learned from Alan wasn't just technical ability, but also how to express an idea just through typography. Here's one of my more recent posters, printed in September. The next climate strike is on the 3rd of March, so hopefully see you all there. So if these two posters are the bookends of everything I'm going to discuss, now's the time to mention that all of these projects were printed at Eric Spiekerman's workshop P98A. P98 own all of the type and fonts that you're going to see and have already seen. So if the objective of this project is to achieve sustainability through commerce, I wish I could tell you everything I've learned so far in these 3 years. It's not enough time. But the main thing, or the key thing I have learned in this respect is a foundation to sustainable activity is through community and community action. It's something Partners in Print do beautifully through their international community of printers. However, as an individual with artistic training, I don't have the resources needed to support community in this way. So instead, one of the ways I try to achieve sustainability through my practice is using the idea of soft and hard power. Soft power is dialogue, culture, customs, and other exchange of ideas. Hard power is finances, activism, and getting on the street. Which brings me to my first series, small print, big idea. The prints are always A5 paper and always seeking to empower the viewer and frame lived experiences. The first one was made in response to Strajk Kobiet, when in late 2020, the whole of Poland came to a standstill as millions of people across the country took to the streets over the rebuking of women's right to abortion. Sadly, an ongoing battle with a very authoritarian government. Thanks to hand inking, I don't have to print a whole block. I can just choose which bits I want to add ink to, which is how I recreated the Strajk Kobiet lightning logo from what I had available in the workshop. This picture shows more clearly the Polish flag in the print, which is white on top and red on bottom, made to look like blood on the bottom. Just for a moment, I want to come back to this idea of soft and hard power. The soft power here is the artwork, and it's the conversation that we're having right now. The hard power for me is making the artwork and distributing these images. The hard power for the consumer is through fundraising, and 30% of the cost of this print goes to a charity called Ciocia Basia, which is a charity that grants people in Poland access to safe abortion here in Berlin. The next print is a quote from Malala. Malala is the world's youngest Nobel Prize laureate for her activist work in female education. This small print started life as a way for me to celebrate International Women's Day. I made copies in 2 colors. The one you see here is for sale, and the other I sent copies to my friends, family, and people I love, as well as people whose work I admire or find inspiring. If you buy a copy, 30% of the money goes to the Malala Fund, which is a charity for advocating for female education. An Audre Lorde quote. Audre Lorde was an American writer who was well ahead of her time and quite foundational for many of our ideas of identity today. I wanted this print to look like a note in biro. Money from the sales donated directly to the Audre Lorde project in New York. So that was small print, big idea. The next project also follows this model of fundraising. Because of a different price point, these posters give 12% of each sale to charities that solve the problems discussed within each print. Information on each donation is found on the product page of my website if you want to have a look. So I began applying pressure in April 2020, and over the course of the next years, I designed, set, and printed 6 poster designs in 2 colors, a handset essay, and the folder that you're looking at in front of you. The series takes a critical look on the climate crisis. 2 central ideas to the visual language is an idea of balance or cause and effect, and the idea of optimism. I didn't want this project to be doom and gloom. I didn't think that's that valuable. However, there are certain realities that need to be faced when discussing this topic. This is intended to look like a cloud pollution coming out of the subheading. The typeface on top is fanfare. I use the same silver on the E as well as on the subheading to solidify this idea of cause and effect. Business as usual is causing the 6th extinction in this poster, as well as in life in general. For this composition, the eye is drawn into the middle. It uses accidens grotesque to give this idea of commerce. Sport circular economy. The subheading for this was actually the starting point of the whole project. These are the sketches of where it started. I pretty quickly realized it needed more than 1 poster. This was actually by far the most enjoyable to set. It's set in Kabul. The prints for the silver color scheme are available as a full series with the 6 prints in the folder. Any purchase of that series sends money to Extinction Rebellion, as well as to Practice Typography. Each poster has an alternative full color edition available for individual purchase. This is the form, and this is the full color edition. Ethical consumption is set in block schwer on the top, and consumption is set in block schmal, made to look like blood. This subheading was some graffiti I saw in Berlin that I wanted to put in a frame. The typeface is fanfare. This was made at a time of like waves and pandemic and whatnot. Elect ecologically is set in a variety of sans serif wood type letters. And this is the essay, set in 12-point block schmal and block normal for some of the highlights. Here's the full series. A big thank you to Norman Possart, who took a lot of the more professional looking photos you've seen today. And if you'd like to connect, you can find me on here.